Pip, do you know where my ice cream is?
Sorry, I ate it. I really need something sweet after my ham and lettuce sandwich. I'll replace it.
All right. Did you notice that we just mentioned different kinds of food? We talked not only about animal products like the meat in Pip's sandwich and the dairy in my ice cream, but also the wheat in our bread and the salad in Pip's sandwich. But where does all that food actually come from? That's what we're going to talk about today.
The answer to the question, where does our food come from, seems quite easy. We keep animals and grow crops.
And as a consumer, you just go to the supermarket and buy the food that's there. But it hasn't always been that easy, neither for the farmers nor the consumers.
For example, potatoes were picked from the ground by hand for a long time, which was quite exhausting without any machines. Animals were often kept on small farms, so small that many farmers knew each of their animals by name. Only a few animals were slaughtered every year.
Because the number of animals on the farms was quite small, people didn't eat meat on a regular basis. Today, people can buy and eat as much meat as they like, due to intensive animal farming. This is also known as factory farming by its critics.
Let's go way back. About 10,000 years ago, people discovered how to farm their own animals and crops. They slowly began living in small colonies and later in towns, instead of wandering around to wherever they could find the most food.
Much later, during the Industrial Revolution in the 1700s and 1800s, farming changed dramatically. People invented new technologies, tools, and strategies to produce more food, so that they wouldn't have to do all the hard work by hand.
And because of this industrialisation, farmers could grow more crops and feed more animals. In the USA, this started at the beginning of the 20th century. In Germany and the UK, it started after World War II.
This new way of farming was used to maximise production while keeping costs as low as possible. When it came to animal products like meat, dairy and eggs, this was known under the term intensive animal farming, and still is today. It means that more pigs, cows and other animals live on a smaller piece of land. Also, people had been cultivating animals for a long time, so that animals produced a lot more milk, eggs and meat than they did a couple of hundred years ago.
Because production costs were so low, the meat became cheaper and more affordable for everyone. At the same time, the population in many countries was growing, and people also had more money to spend. This led to a significant increase in meat consumption, a really significant increase.
For example, meat consumption in Germany has doubled over the last 60 years. In 2019, one person consumed 87.8 kilograms of meat on average. And in the USA, it's even more. There, people consumed 100 kilograms of meat per person. That's almost as much weight as that of an entire pig. In contrast, people in other countries eat less meat. In India and Bangladesh in 2019, the amount of meat consumed per person was only 4 kilograms.
People who are advocating for animal rights refer to intensive animal farming as factory farming. They criticise the conditions in which the animals are kept. The animals have little room to move around and some can't even go outside. They say it's more like a factory than a farm.
The use of growth hormones and antibiotics is also criticised. They are being fed to the livestock in order to make them grow faster and not get sick.
Growth hormones aren't used everywhere though. While they are allowed in the USA, for example, in the EU they are illegal. As you can see, different countries have different rules and guidelines when it comes to farming.
Besides animal rights, critics also talk about the impact on the environment that animal farming can have. For example, the practice of burning down forests to get more cropland where food for animals is grown. Another important thing to keep in mind is that not all farms are the same. For example, the United Nations differentiates between 6 types of farms, from small family farms to large commercial farms. It is often these large farms that are criticised for not respecting animal rights, as well as not protecting the environment enough.
It might sound easy to improve the farm animals' lives. Just give them more space and make the enclosures a bit nicer. But for the farmers, it's often not that simple. The price competition between farmers makes it hard for them to give animals more space. And in Germany, you can only give farm animals access to an area outside after experts have analysed whether your pigs would cause neighbours to suffer from the bad smell or if their excrement would harm the air or the soil.
So, that was a quick overview of different aspects of animal farming. We mainly talked about meat production, but there are many other types of farming that come with their own history and their own challenges. Think about milk and egg production, or growing crops, for example.
Just keep in mind that farming is a very complex issue. What might seem simple from one perspective often isn't that simple from another. That's why there are so many conflicts, for example, between animal farmers and animal rights activists.
It's important to learn about the facts so you can form your own opinion on things like farming. I myself am a vegetarian because the facts we talked about motivate me not to eat any meat. But of course, everyone should educate themselves so that they can make their own informed decisions.
We hope that you've learnt something today. See you next time!